make his maiden speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I am very grateful to be given this opportunity to speak on such an important topic, and much like everyone else, I have enjoyed the various maiden speeches given here tonight. It's certainly given me a detailed lesson in local history and geography, and I was startled to discover just how many constituencies apparently think they're the best. We'll see if that survives the next few minutes. Could I begin by paying tribute to my predecessor, Henry Smith? Henry and I had many areas of profound disagreement over the many years we sparred together. But one surprising area of overlap was that we were both vegetarians. Animal rights was clearly an incredibly important topic to him. And if you look through his parliamentary record, you can see that he served that cause diligently throughout his many years in Westminster, pursuing it at every possible level. I hope that during my time here, the policy priorities that I seek to deliver upon, I can pursue just as diligently. I'd also like to pay tributes to my Labour predecessor, Laura Moffat. I've known Laura many years. In fact, the first time I ever entered this chamber, I was 15 years old, and I sat in that corner over there, which I understand was actually not correct procedure, while doing work experience as a student at Holy Trinity. The support she has given me over the years has been incredibly significant and has made an awfully significant difference to my being here today. Madam Deputy Speaker, after many years of hard work, this year we had an amazing win for the Reds in Crawley. And I, of course, am speaking about Crawley Town's League Two playoff win. It was a fantastic result, and as one of the town's leading cheerleaders, it was great that we were, for one day, absolutely everywhere. If you typed Crawley into Google, fireworks popped up in your browser. Crawley is my home. It's where I was born, it's where I went to school, it's where I, for the last 14 years as a councillor, council leader, and now as an MP, fought on behalf of my community. I honestly believe that Crawley is not only the best constituency in the UK, it's the best town outright. Our economy is a powerhouse, delivering one of the greatest concentrations of employment in the country. And we are one of the UK's most visited constituencies, even though frustratingly we still have to caveat every time we are asked where we are from, it's where Gatwick Airport is. Crawley was home to Mark Lemon, who during his tenure as editor of Punch magazine inspired fear on both sides of this house. We were home to pioneering electrical engineer Dame Caroline Hazlitt, and more recently, Crawley has given Britain one of our leading journalists in Dan Walker, one of our most influential bands in The Cure, the nation's favourite, or at least the most ubiquitous, comedian, Romesh Ranganathan, Gareth Southgate, England's greatest football manager since Alf Ramsey, and victorious Paralympians Jodie Grinham and Katie George Dunleavy. Thanks to the long history of municipal socialism within the town, from our early fathers and mothers, including Alf Pegler, Bert Crane and Brenda Smith, we are blessed with fantastic facilities such as K2, the Horth and Tilgate Park, home to many of the happiest memories, including marrying the love of my life. I feel privileged to live in a town that has so much to offer. And yet before you all pack in your constituencies and move down to mine, Crawley is not without its challenges. Despite so many accomplished Crawleyites, social mobility in the town is the lowest in the South East, and I often have to get into real arguments with Northern MPs to demonstrate to them actually we're one of the lowest in the country, far more than most of the North. Over recent years, rising deprivation, has meant that exceptionally high levels of employment have done little to assuage poverty in the constituency, and Crawley's children, over a third of them, are now growing up in poverty. And earlier this year, Crawley Borough Council became the first council in the country to declare a housing emergency. Madam Deputy Speaker, I love my town, and I'm here in this House to fight to solve these and the other issues facing the constituency. If there's one issue that I intend to prioritise during my time here above all others, it is housing, and it's essential not only to Crawley's immediate challenges, but a part of the history of the town. And I fear that in this I may echo many of the sentiments earlier made by my honourable friend, the member for Milton Keynes North. Crawley is mentioned in the Domesday Book. We're home to an Anglo-Saxon church. But the town as it is known today began in 1946 with the passage of the New Towns Act, an amazing achievement which I believe rivals Labour's creation of the NHS. It had been intended that Crawley would be the first of the post-war new towns, Unfortunately, Stevenage pipped us to that title following a last-minute legal challenge to the development. Some things never change. In creating the town, planners drew inspiration from the Garden City movement, designing each neighbourhood to be its own self-contained village, incorporating a neighbourhood centre with their own school, GP, community centre, shopping parade, and fostering a strong sense of neighbourhood identity. At the centre of the town was a modern town centre, and to the north, one of the country's largest industrial estates, located away from residential areas where pollution might affect people, and providing skilled employment in light industry. Across the town, they built comprehensive infrastructure, green urban space, high-quality council housing, ensuring residents from every walk of life could move to Crawley. And if you talk to that first generation of Newtowners, they talk about being able to walk down the street and pick out which of the houses they wanted. Imagine if that were here today. They could do this because the Newtown Development Corporations were granted the power to buy land cheaply at agricultural prices and with the ability to grant themselves planning permission to deliver at pace. I believe that the model, which worked almost 80 years ago, remains the most effective means through which new housing can be delivered in terms of quantity, quality and affordability. Indeed, the only period in the last century when the growth in housing supply exceeded the growth in demand was when the UK was building the new towns. The lesson of history is clear, certainly of recent history, that no matter how easy it is to get planning permission, builders will not build housing if that will result in a drop in house prices. Direct delivery can overcome this. I was proud to campaign at the election on a Labour platform championing the development of new towns as an alternative to the high-cost, low-quality urban extensions and infilling we have seen all too often. I am pleased that the government has already announced its first site, and I hope that many more will now follow, using the same mechanisms developed and deployed by Nye Bevan to bring an end to the appalling housing conditions the country faced in 1946. And Madam Deputy Speaker, isn't that what this debate is here about today? In 1946, the country faced not only a shortage of housing, but cities filled with slum housing in the most appalling conditions. It is a failure to learn the lessons of history which has resulted in far too many homes today, posing a danger to those living in them. From the horror of Grenfell Tower to the mould daily eating away at people's health. The steps needed now to address this risk of lives are urgent and necessary. We must put resident safety back at the heart of housing, but we cannot forget that now, back as in 1946, for too many the choice remains between dangerous housing and no housing at all. Madam Deputy Speaker, with an intense programme of housing construction along the Newtown model of the 1940s, we have the chance to bring an end to the housing shortages which affect so many of our constituencies, mine included. And in the process, we can once again ensure that everyone has the dignity of a safe place that they can call home. Thank you.
Yeah.